What's up everybody? Happy Friday. Just a few things to start up this video. It's been a couple weeks since I've been able to post a vlog, and today is actually the first day I can do it. Unfortunately, I got a second strike on my channel in the last month. I've had 2 videos removed, vlogs 46 and 43 respectively. 46 being the most recent, the one I did in San Diego, and really happy with how that one turned out with some updated graphics and whatnot. But unfortunately, after a week, that one got pulled, and I've been on this 2-week ban since. It's really an unfortunate situation that is affecting a lot of other poker vloggers as well. Each of us spends a ton of time on these videos, anywhere in the neighborhood of 12 to 15 hours per video. And to have them taken down is pretty tilting, to say the least. Yeah, I've been trying to stay proactive in getting this resolved. I reached out to Jeff Boski and Andrew Nemi, got really helpful insight and some resource recommendations from them, so thank you to them for that. I have been pretty much trying every single method to get in touch with YouTube, whether it be Twitter, email, and even trying to call them. Unfortunately, I haven't made too much headway there, not too much momentum in getting my videos reinstated. So that's been pretty challenging, to say the least. But yeah, I guess that's to be expected though, given that I am small potatoes on YouTube, and it's going to be difficult to get a response from YouTube in that regard. But I'm gonna try to stay proactive and get this resolved. If I do get one more strike though, it does result in my channel getting deleted. So I really hope that doesn't happen. I'm gonna try to stay proactive and positive, and hopefully through some additional growth, maybe I'll get a response from YouTube. So I'm not a big salesy or promotion kind of guy, but if you are interested in subscribing to the channel, I would greatly appreciate it. I think that might help elevate some numbers and then kind of help me going forward there. And that doesn't just apply to me, helps with other vloggers as well, particularly the ones that I recently did the meetup game with, being just Christy B, P's and Q's Poker Vlog, and CzechRaiseCharles. So make sure to check out their channels and subscribe there as well, particularly for Charles too, because he's on the cusp of hitting 5 figures in subscribers. So I think that would be a really cool thing to see for a Bay Area poker vlogger. And for those of you that do want to subscribe and might want to be more discreet, there is an option, I think, in YouTube that you can subscribe anonymously. So I can understand maybe some trepidation around coming off fanboyish or fangirlish when you subscribe to someone's channel, but you can do it anonymously. So that'll help kind of resolve that piece. Anyways, that's going to wrap it up for this intro. I hope you enjoyed this vlog, a very fun one to make, and hope you enjoy the next one as well. That's going to document the meetup game. And YouTube, please don't remove this video. It's Valentine's Day. Please show me some love. It's a Saturday here in San Francisco, Chinatown. Don't make it out to this part of town too often, but here because I am Chinese and today is the first day of the Lunar New Year. So happy Lunar New Year to those of you that celebrate. And my parents actually, when they immigrated over to the United States, lived in Chinatown for a period of time. This was before I was born. My other 2 brothers did get an opportunity to live out here in Chinatown for a bit. But yeah, here for a few reasons today. Want to capture a little bit of scenery, particularly because Chinatown's a little bit slower today. It's usually really crowded, and I'm not a huge fan of crowds, but because it is a holiday, a lot of the businesses will be closed, so it's a little bit easier to get out here. The only thing though that doesn't really change is the price of parking. Price of parking in San Francisco is incredibly expensive, and that's no different here in Chinatown. I paid over $5 to park at the meter for about an hour and a half. So Not really Chinese prices if you ask me. There is one place that I want to try to hit up. Hopefully they are open today. But before getting over there, I want to recap some hands from Thursday night played at Lucky Chances. I think there is a little playground around the corner here, so I'm going to find a little spot to get situated. All right, gonna run through the hands played on Thursday the 23rd, playing the 3-5 no limit game at Lucky Chances. In this first hand, there's an under the gun 1 limp. I'm in under the gun 2 with pocket 10s. I raise it to $25. I get a middle position call, and it gets to the small blind, and she jams for $220. She had just come off a relatively bad beat, so it's possible that she could be steaming here, and with a hand like 10s, I should be ahead of her pretty often here. So when it gets back to me, I make the call, and the other players fold. We go to a run out of ace 9 7, 7 king, and we table our hands, and she shows ace jack of spades. So she was a little stronger there than I thought, and she does make the hand here to take this first hand down. In the hand immediately after, I'm in under the gun 1, and I pick up the same hand, pocket 10s, 2 black 10s here, and I raise it up to $20. Middle position calls, and it gets over to the hijack, and he puts in a 3-bet to $120. Gets back to me, I make the call, and middle position calls as well. We're playing about $600 effective here, and we go 3 ways to a flop of 8-6-4 with 2 spades. Checks over to the hijack, and he deliberates for a little bit, and he checks it back. So feeling pretty good, feeling like I should have probably the best hand most of the time here. But when the turn comes to king of hearts, it's going to be a strong range card for the hijack 3-betters. So it checks over to this player again, and this time he fires out $165, and I'm not sure that I can continue, particularly because I've got the player behind me, and he is a very good player. So in trying to just kind of play a little bit safe, I decide to let it go, and it gets to the middle position player, and he does, after thinking through for a little while, jam all in for $600 effective. So good decision, I think, to have folded. And when it gets back to hijack, he's in the tank for a little while, and he ultimately lets it go. So no showdown here. Don't know what the players had, but I think made probably the correct fold, hopefully. In the hand immediately after, I'm in under the gun with pocket 7, so 3 hands in a row here, and I raise it to $20, and I get 4 callers. I suspect that I might be getting called a little bit lighter here because I lost the first 2 pots, and people could perceive this as maybe a little bit of tilt, but I do have a decently playable hand here, and we go 5 ways to a flop of jack 9 7 rainbow. So flop bottom set, big blind leads for $80. Given that it's multi-way, I decided that I want to play this hand fast here. So I put in a raise to $220, leaving $320 back. It folds back over to the big blind, and after he tanks for a while, he decides to make the call. Turn comes a 10, so it brings the one-liner to the straight, but I don't think he's going to hit this card that often. I'm not sure that he's going to be calling with 8x there to a raise, so it should be a pretty safe card to continue. And when he checks, I decide to jam it in for the 320. And he's in the tank for a while, so that's a good sign. And after deliberating for a little while, he does make the call, and the river peels out an ace. We table our hands, and he shows king jack offsuit. So was able to fade the gutter ball that he picked up on the turn and scoop a pretty nice pot to navigate a pretty turbulent beginning to this session here. In this next hand, there are 2 early position limps. Middle position raises to $25. I call in the big blind with pocket 9s, and both of the limpers come along as well. We go 4 ways to a flop of king 10-6 rainbow. Action checks through. Turn comes in 8. So now I pick up a gut shot to go with my pocket 9s here. And I think I can have the best hand a good amount of the time, given that there was no aggression shown on the flop. So I decide to fire out a bet of $50. The 2 early position players fold, and middle position's in the tank for a little while, and he decides to make the call. Given that the middle position player did not c-bet on the flop, being the pre-flop aggressor, I don't think he's going to have a king here too often. I think his range is going to be comprised of value hands such as ace 10, queens, and jacks, which I'm definitely behind against. And he's going to have some drawing hands as well, queen, jack, and maybe some other Broadway type holdings. So going to have to try to navigate some rivers here. And it comes a 7. So that's an easy one to navigate. I make the straight, and I decide to put out a bet of $120. And he's pretty well into the tank. So it lets me know that I did suck out here and that he did have value rather than having a draw. And after deliberating for a little while, he makes the call. I table my hand, and it is good here. So nice to take this pot down here. This next hand I get moved to a new table, and it's a really tough table filled with some really good thinking players, some pros, and some 5-10 players. And it's a straddle pot. There's an early position limp. I'm in the hijack with 6-7 of diamonds. I raise it to $45. Big blind calls, and the limper puts in a limp 3 bet to $195. Pretty close here. We're playing about 1500 effective, and there's a part of me that definitely wants to continue because I am in position, but because I just sat down at the table, I decide to play it a little bit nitty and I decide to let it go. But the big blind does call, so I'm going to run through the rest of this hand because it does get to showdown. They go heads up to a flop of Jack 3-3 rainbow. Big blind check calls the other player's bet of $200. They go to a turn of a 6 and it checks through. River comes an ace and it also checks through. Big blind tables ace queen off suit and takes the hand down. So pretty interesting hand here. It kind of goes to show that not all limp re-raises pre-flop are comprised of really strong hands, particularly when you're at a really tough table with some good players. I think they can show up with some weaker holdings with that type of a line. So pretty interesting to see this hand play out. So shortly after, I decided to move tables. While the action was pretty good at the table, it was just mixed with a lot of really good players. So looking for a better spot to play in. People are setting off firecrackers left and right here. But anyways, in this next hand at the new table, it's a straddle pot. I'm in under the gun +2 with 6-8 of diamonds. I raise it to $35 and I get a call from just the small blind. Heads up to a flop of ace 6-3 with 2 spades. So flop middle pair here with backdoor diamonds. When he checks it, it's a good spot here to continue with aggression. So I bet $35 and he makes the quick fold. So take the small pot down to get a nice little fresh start at the new table. In the hand immediately after, there's an under the gun limp. I'm in early position with 5-6 of clubs. I raise it to $25 and I get 3 callers. We go 4 ways to a flop of queen 4 deuce with 2 clubs. So flop a very high equity holding here. And I decide to c-bet it for $70. Middle position puts in a raise to $190. Gets back to me and both options are on the table here. Can certainly put in a raise and play this hand aggressively given how well I'm connected with this board here. But it can also take a more conservative line and just flat and evaluate turns. And that's ultimately what I decide to do. So we're playing about $1,100 effective going into the turn, which comes a 5 of spades. A pretty decent card here. I pick up additional equity with the pair to go with my myriad of draws here. And I check it over to this player. He bets $350. And again, I think both options are on the table here. Can certainly just call or raise all in. I think kind of in trying to dissect his range here, I think it's gonna be purely value. He's gonna have ace queen here. I don't think he's gonna have pocket queens here too often because there was no 3-bet pre, but he's gonna have ace queen, he's gonna have pocket 4s, he's gonna have pocket deuces. So I think if I rip it here, I can get folds from hands like ace queen, king queen, and I'm not gonna get folds from pocket 4s, pocket deuces. There are 2 bluffs that get there on the turn, being ace 3 of diamonds and ace 3 of clubs. It'd be a really bad scenario if he has ace 3 of clubs because that would mean that I'm drawing pretty much nearly dead. But I don't think he has that hand that often given that he raised the flop, and against a different player profile, I can definitely add the ace 3 of clubs in that person's range. But for this particular player, I think he's not gonna have that hand. And the only other bluff he's gonna have here, I think, is like ace deuce of clubs for the bottom pair and nut flush draw. So after deliberating for a little bit, I decide to just take the conservative line. I make the call thinking that I've got probably 17 outs here with my flush outs, my straight draw outs, and my trips and 2 pair outs. So after getting a good price to continue, we arrive at the river, which comes a 3 of spades. So really advantageous and good run out for my specific hand holding. And I think the best play here is to just jam. And that's what I decide to do. I put in the $750. My thought is that if I check it over to him, I think he's not really gonna bet too often with the sets there. And by taking the initiative and shoving here on the river, it can look like I have missed flush draws, which I technically do have. And the question becomes, you know, what can he call me with here? I think he can still call with pocket deuces, pocket 4s. And of course, a hand like ace queen is probably gonna just have to call it here. And after deliberating for a little bit, he does make the call. We table our hands and he shows ace queen of diamonds. So I get pretty much the main card that guarantees a payoff here. I suspect that if I make the flush, I think there is still some percentage of the time that he's going to make the call. He did show to be a little bit sticky earlier in the session, so that's part of my thought process, kind of just making the shove here on the river. But of course, just a pretty easy hand to play once I get there on the river and take down a pretty massive pot here. All right, a couple more hands to run through. It's a straddle pot. I'm in middle position with my favorite hand of the night, 5-6 suited, this time in the spade variety. I raise it to $35, hijack and small blind call. Big blind puts in a 3-bet to $160. He's playing another $1,300 back here, and I think he's doing it a 3-bet here strictly for value. I don't think he's going to have really any bluffs here, given that he's one of the tighter players at the table. He's going to be weighted towards queens plus ace king, but with some recency bias and scooping a pretty big pot with 5-6 suited early in the session, plus some decent amount to still play for, I decide to make the call and hijack calls as well. We go through ace to a flop of 7-5-3 rainbow with no spade, so almost flop gin here, but I do flop middle pair with a gut shot. I'm planning to continue on this board, but after thinking it through for a little while, big blind fires out half his stack. He puts out a bet of $700, so can't really continue for this price. So just make the fold, unfortunately, and the other player folds as well. And big blind takes it down with a large continuation bet here. Our last hand to note, under the gun limps. I'm in under the gun 1 with queen 10 of spades. I raise it to $25 and I get calls from the button and big blind. We go 3 ways to a flop of ace king 7 rainbow with no spades. So flop the gutter ball here, and when it checks to me, I decide to try and maintain range advantage here, and I fire out a bet of $40 and I get a call from only the button. The turn comes gin, it comes a jack, so I make Broadway here, and this is against the really tight player from the previous hand, and I think it through for a little bit. I don't block any of his 2-pair type holdings as well as other ace X holdings, so I think it's okay to fire out here. I consider going for the check raise on occasion. I can certainly get behind that play, but in this particular instance, I settle for another bet. This time I put out $100, and he thinks it through for a little bit and makes the fold. So not loving that result, having turned the nuts there, but I think it's okay to continue firing on that turn. And looking back, I think I would have preferred a smaller sizing. I don't think I need to go as large or polarized as I did. I think somewhere along the lines of $75 to $85 would have been appropriate to maybe garner a call from a weak ace X type holding, but nevertheless was able to take this hand down and scoop this pot. All right, so that covers all of the notable hands played. Was ultimately in the game for $900, didn't have to add on, and cashed out $2,792, so nice profit of just a shade under $1,900. So yeah, it was nice to book a big win, but it's important to stay grounded after playing sessions like this. You're gonna run through some large wins, some large losses, and sometimes it can really affect your mental game one way or the other. And in this session, I didn't really play super well. I made some decent decisions, but really it was just the turn of that one card on the river that ultimately defined this session to be a big winning one. So I think it's important to continue to put in work on the game. All you can really do with a game like poker is to make the best decisions that you can given the information that is presented to you, and hopefully over time, if you continue to make more good decisions rather than bad ones, they'll translate into wins overall. So a little bit of preaching there, but that's going to wrap it up for the overall session played at Lucky Chances. I'm going to stop by this one location here. All right, some good run good here at the Golden Gate Fortune Cookie Factory. Was slightly nervous that they'd be closed, but they are open, and it's definitely, I think, one of the best fortune cookies that you can have. And that's pretty much going to wrap it up for this one. I mentioned it in the previous 2 videos, but going to be doing the meetup game at Lucky Chances on Saturday, February 8th. We're playing 3-3 no limit hold'em, $100 to $500 buy-in, and that's it.